Hey guys, it's been a while since my last video, but I just wanted to take a short break. I was still slowly streaming and playing with this explosive trap build. It was hinted that stat sticks are gonna be nerfed, so I thought that this may be the last time I could play with a strong stat stick. But we now know that stat sticks for spells remain the same. And to be fair, I don't really have a very strong stat stick and I only have one. So this build is a Saboteur who doesn't have chain reaction node. And the reason for that is that explosive trap AoE is kind of small. So basically the only time it does damage if the enemy steps on it. But unfortunately I have no idea what's the AoE is for the explosive trap. Obviously all the smaller explosions make the bigger AoE than the trigger AoE is. But nonetheless I still wanted to play it without chain reaction. And the build doesn't really have anything else special. I do have Slavedriver's hand, and these gloves makes my trap consume my life instead of mana. And we were a bit expensive during Delve, but it should be pretty cheap in the next league since we got encouragement back. And also using Shroud of the Lightless body armor, since I'm converting all the physical damage into elemental. Now despite only having 5000 life, I did manage to defeat Shaper. It was actually surprisingly easy, so the damage potential is definitely pretty good, and this is not a maximized build. However, the clear speed did feel pretty horrible, and I only have 48% increased AoE, but getting couple AoE nodes from Templar or Witch probably wouldn't change all that much. It's just the randomness of those explosions and the randomness of throwing traps with Cluster Trap. By the way, Cluster Trap is probably not as good as Multi-Trap anymore, since they both have the same amount of traps thrown, but Multi-Trap has better multiplier, or should I say less multiplier, and a very consistent and predictable trap placement. Now actually to level faster I did swap to Arc, even with all the extra damage modifiers which normally only work for physical spells. I still feel like it's better to use Arc for clear speed, and it's even good for bosses, but for things like Arc you definitely want chain reaction. And here comes the problem with Explosive Trap. It's definitely really good and really strong for single target, even for endgame, but it's quite horrible for clear speed. And there isn't much you could do for clear speed. You could use another setup like Bladefall for clear speed, but then again you could just use Bladefall for single target as well. And that's the reason why I decided to do this build. I wanted to see why Explosive Trap is underused. If you don't mind slower clear speed, then definitely Explosive Trap is a good pick. It's very strong from the lowest levels all the way to the end game. But even for people like me who doesn't care too much about the clear speed, it still didn't feel good enough. And I'm doing this video before we got the patch notes, so I don't know, maybe the AoE is gonna be buffed, but if not, I don't really see any way this could compete with something like Arc. Oh right, Arc is supposed to be getting some nerf, but even if Arc got nerfed, the clear speed with Arc would still be superior. By the way, I have no idea how much total DPS I have, and it's pretty, I guess, impossible to calculate, but the average damage is 67,000. That is against the Shaper, with free Frenzy and free power charges. I do have Helmet enchantment, which does give 2 additional smaller explosions, but I can't really tell if it helps a lot or just a bit. Now I'm not gonna do like a full build guide video, I'm still gonna include path for building import code, and just quickly mention that Explosive Traps is linked to control destruction, trap and mine damage, physical to lighting, and either Cluster Trap or Multi-Trap. And this is inside Shroud of the Lightless body armor, which does give level 20 elemental penetration. I also have Hatred and Herald of Ash for damage. I do have Bear Trap and Siphoning Trap, Flame Dash, Willing Blades. Willing Blades is linked with faster attacks and Fortify. And lastly I have level 1 cast on damage taken, linked with level 1 Lighting, linked with Curse on hit and very high level elemental weakness. This is a pretty cool way to apply high level curses with low level cast on damage taken. And from Ascendancy nodes I just took everything else besides chain reaction that applies for traps. And that's about all. I'm very hyped for the next league, and I would like to make one more video before the new league, just to briefly cover all the builds that I did during Delve League, but I don't really want to promise because I kind of become lazy when I get out of my usual schedule. I already mentioned that I wanted to do Ignite Armageddon starter build, but I still am waiting for the patch notes because it may sway me into different build ideas, hopefully not. Anyway, I thank you for watching and I'll see you either soon or less soon.